Hey, what's up? Welcome to episode 15. I think we're on now. 15, 14 or 15. I'm gonna have to check my math. I apologize. This has been a day. Thank you to my guest. It's usually just me here. Dan Callahan, give it up. Very funny guy.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming again and bearing with my
Mhm.
schedule and
Oh yeah.
being weird, agreeing to be weird.
Oh, I love it. I love
Um,
weird.
Good. I think we can't help but talk about the weird lost submarine in the ocean.
That literally just happened. Well, the conclusion, I guess, the
The the
finale
con- the
happened
conclusion, yeah, the finale is the better word.
just a few hours ago. Yeah, it's wild.
The rising plot action.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if you don't know me that well. We've only met a few times in person, I think, and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, probably chatted in person other than brushing past at mics and stuff. Yeah, I think that's about the extent of it.
yeah,
So yeah,
and
what do you feel about it?
well, I like to make up conspiracy theories. Would you like to make up a conspiracy theory about if that it's not just they're saying now an explosion when they hit the
Yeah.
certain depths of the ocean? Do you have any conspiracy theories? Because I have a few. I have a
Let's
few.
I want to hear some of yours because I haven't thought about it too much yet. So let's
Okay.
see what we
All
got.
right. There was I feel like some people on there, like including the CEO of
Hmm.
the whole company, that seemed like too important to just be going on this risky little submarine. And like maybe someone was like, let's put a little nick in the hull and knows it's going to make it explode. I hate to,
Hmm.
say that
Hmm.
there was just unfortunately collateral damage in that case. Like the whoever, well, the guy himself was the captain. So the owner, the CEO was the captain
Uh-huh.
using the X PlayStation knockoff Logitech controller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Deal on that thing at GameStop used.
I kind
Absolutely.
of I was like, is that's not a rechargeable? They might have just got dead batteries and the whole thing went down
Yeah.
immediately. That's one. The controller went down. James Cameron, does he have any ownership in any of these companies?
You know what? I did think about that too, because wasn't he actually trying to do some type of expedition there or did?
Something I read something. It was like he was on the site of it, like within the 2000s, and the movie came out in the
Oh,
90s. And it's
yeah.
like I guess he, could have just said he was just interested,
In the whole thing. Yeah. Actually
but
going down there.
yeah, like seeing maybe himself. I don't know. Maybe he heard a rumor. There's all these rumors
Yeah.
that it's not that safe, according to their own people. I did have an article I pulled up, just so I could have factual
Yeah.
information. I looked
Oh
up how
yeah.
many expeditions they had.
I
So
think was it like four, three or four?
we're gonna do a share screen so I can give facts to everyone.
Let's do it.
And it has been operating on deep ocean expeditions since 2009. Uh,
Oh, okay.
but not to the Titanic necessarily. It's carried out more than 200 dives. I don't know what the average is for a submarine per year, but it has three different vessels, one in the Atlantic Pacific and Gulf of Mexico. Titan, the one that went missing on Sunday, is designed to go the deepest of them all, able to reach depths of over 13,000 feet, according to the company. However, I had actually found some research that said they were not certified to go more than 1,300 feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
so
a little
way
bit of a different.
less. It might even be in this article, but so the Titanic sits around 12,500 feet below sea level with five tourists aboard the little submarine, and communication was lost. And they suddenly, like, I don't know if it did explode, they would have lost communication. If it didn't explode, they could have just had a failure of power or something somewhere. Because there's one of these. I don't know if it's this one. Um, let's see here. It wasn't until, let's see here, 2021 was the first time I think they went down there. Well, let's see here. What does it say? They
Yeah,
had planned it in 2018, but technical and regulatory snags stopped them. So 2021, then again in 2022, it made several dives to the most famous shipwreck in the world. While successful, they hadn't been without their own problems. Here's like a little link of it moving so you can see kind of what it looks like for scale.
yeah. What did they say? It was the size of about a minivan or so.
Dude, it looks like a fucking kayak with like a lid on it. You know what I mean? It's like not.
Yeah, inside of it didn't look too
Yeah, all
promising.
right. So there it is. So look at like this guy is a normal guy's height, 6 foot tall or something. Like you can barely
Yeah,
stand up in there. It's got this one little window, which is crazy that they're just going down there for this little one port window.
yeah.
Like I don't see much lighting equipment on the outside. Now they could have LEDs, but like compared to the normal little things you go see doing deep sea dives, there's not much light there. Uh, it was made of carbon fiber and titanium, designed by NASA. I don't trust NASA worth a shit. Um,
And I think NASA actually said that they like consulted them, but they had no hands in
they
like
just
on
yeah,
site or anything like that.
they gave them the plans for the material, like how to
Yeah.
produce it. I guess. The rest of the structure are off the shelf parts, including the PlayStation controller, quote unquote. And they were because they were doing it for the typical reason. What did corporations do? Lower the cost of construction as they were
Yeah.
mass produced.
Yep.
You get what you pay for. It felt
Yeah.
said this one guy says he felt it was okay once it was bolted shut. I feel like if it wasn't dangerous, they wouldn't really do this.
You would
Um,
think, if you're paying that much money, you would think that like, okay, they're it costs this much because they have to pay for regulatory stuff. They had to pay for the best materials in the world. Turns out that's not the case.
No,
Like,
it's the experience. They're giving them the experience and
yeah,
overcharging these people who then can command that type of a life, like to be like, well, I'm going to take this little fucking jump submarine down in the ocean, down to the bottom of the ocean floor, one of the scariest, deadliest, coldest, darkest,
yeah,
most unknown places on Earth, most unexplored places on Earth. You're just suddenly a deep sea diver now because you're a billionaire.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I like how they just let billionaires go into space too. Like, they're just like
yeah.
shooting Bezos and his wife up there or
Yeah.
whatever.
And the
Uh
thing that I did hear that was crazy is that they said more humans have been to outer space than there have been at that depth of the
I've
ocean.
read that. I've read that because the pressure is like as intense as going outside of a spaceship without your spacesuit on. There
Yeah,
and besides it being like, negative temperatures, I'm sure in some spots because it's so dark. And then not knowing about like vortexes and things, because that was my other theory is that there's some kind of like a Bermuda Triangle in that spot where
yeah,
the two tides that go north and south or whatever are meeting up and just making a constant vortex. And
yeah,
that's like what the Bermuda Triangle is three different like wave patterns that kind of like suck things in.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like think about like a riptide when you're at the beach
yeah.
and you just get pulled even in a few seconds, you get pulled so far. So
Yeah, and
uh
especially at that depth and that darkness too. I mean, there's no light coming anywhere close to 12,500 feet underneath.
no, yeah, not at all. Like if my
Yeah.
curtains aren't all the way open, it's pitch black in here.
Yeah.
And it's like they're saying, all right, so in 2018, when they were going to do the first expedition, there was people like saying, don't do this. Someone, a director of marine operations at the company at Ocean Gate, wrote a report like calling for more testing. And then 3 dozen experts warned him about the experimental approach. And then I heard someone was fired. It might have been this guy. Someone was fired for speaking out against saying it wasn't safe from the
Oh,
company.
oh,
And then people were asking to do traditional certified or here it is that they only this company that does marine operations things only they were unwilling to pay for the proper certifications, again cheaping out.
yeah, yeah,
This so the CEO who cheaped out, who essentially made that decision at the end of the day to cut corners. It was
yeah.
only certified to go 1,300 meters, less than a third of what it wasn't 1,300 feet, it was 1,300 meters, less than a third of what we needed to get there, though.
Not even.
So they never
Yeah.
made, yeah, not even halfway. They never even certified to make sure it went halfway. So there was a lot of safety issues there, typical of like, you know, just like the NASA too. Not that they're to blame here, like we said, they're denying any involvement, but they've
Yeah.
blown up plenty of folks,
Yeah. Yeah.
over
And
the
and that's
years.
with that whole thing, the first thing that came to mind with me was like they got around not even having to regulate it, but they take people down there. I'm like, so what is like does there obviously need to be more things around that? But I was like, I can't just make my own like thing out back and try and fly people into the sky. Like the government, like, but this guy
I
can take people, like I was like, what?
I actually say that all the time on stage, as a matter of fact, because I have some stuff I talk
Oh,
about
really?
with NASA. Yeah, because you can't just get in a passenger plane, but suddenly Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, because they have billions, were able to build spaceships and make their own space fucking force or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and SpaceX. You know what I mean? Like, and go up there easier than the government ever has been able to. We pour all this money into NASA, which is a government funded. I got in an argument with somebody on Instagram the other day, some random stranger, because like they said like it was like beautiful pictures of Mars, but it was 2 days after the report that the place is totally uninhabitable, which I could have fucking told you that.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
taken astronomy. It's dry as fuck. There's no water. It's hot as hell. You're not going to live there. We're not going to survive there. If we were meant to live
Yeah.
there, we'd be living there. Or
Uh-huh.
there'd
Yeah.
be something there. There'd be something there already. If
Yeah.
it, and like, so I commented like, yeah, cool, there's definitely like hungry kids all over America that don't have school lunches every day and shit, you know what I mean, something like that, something liberal.
Yeah, yeah.
So someone was like, you people. I'm like, yeah, they're the pictures are beautiful, sir, but they're spending all this money. They have a huge budget. They have a
Yeah.
huge budget. And both the people that commented back to me said, like, well, what about the defense budget? As if I'm over here defending the military by
Yeah,
saying that
yeah.
there's hungry kids.
Yeah. That's where you draw the line. Don't you dare come at the defense budget. I'm talking
Right.
about Space Force.
Listen, it's God, family, country. Like, you know, I support us being protected from perceived nuclear threats and things like that. I'm not, you know, but I also don't, you know, abide just reckless spending when there's hungry Americans
Oh yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
out in space poking around, waking up aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. In space or there's a plenty of theories that think the aliens are living at those depths of the ocean, but based on what the not NASA, the Navy fighter pilots were able, those videos of
Yeah.
aliens up beneath them, they just like disappear into the water. And then
Yeah.
it's like, there's plenty of places for them to hide there. That's for sure.
Yeah. I was talking about octopuses being aliens with Naeem yesterday. They just go boneless. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They can shift, they can like chameleon their skin.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
They're, you know, I read a thing, they have nightmares. Now, how
Octopuses have nightmares?
octopi
Octopi. Yeah, that's it.
have
Huh.
nightmares.
What the hell could they possibly have nightmares about?
That's what I said. I said, how do you have nightmares when you're a nightmare?
Yeah, yeah. Just nightmares of them. I did actually see each of their tentacles. Is it true that each of their tentacles have a brain? I think I saw
Something like that, like a central nervous system in each one.
that communicates back to the main one, and each one of them, like that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I think what's their class of things called, encephalopods or something like that,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And like I think that's why like some of them you can cut an arm off and it will heal
Yeah.
and create a new pathway, and then the other arms will still work like a starfish.
Wow. Man,
that's why sea creatures are aliens. Sea creatures had to have landed here. Either some alien, like more advanced alien, came here and like was like, these didn't work out so good, and just like tossed them in the ocean 3 million years ago or whatever.
Yeah, I think, and we just classified them as an animal. I think we need to take a closer look at things that could be aliens, octopus, Mark Zuckerberg, whoever it is. We got to start widening our range.
He looks like the guy, the weird like jellyfish mayor in the one X-Men movie.
Yeah. Absolutely
I
does.
totally believe that he could be an alien. I totally buy that 100,000%.
Whatever it is with rich people, I don't know. The people that were on this thing, 250 grand a seat. Some of them were billionaires. I don't think some were, but if you got 250 grand to go on this
throw
thing,
around to go on an expedition,
they always have to spend all this money or just do shit that is like just insane. Like anybody that was like buddies with Jeffrey Epstein and his whole island going back and forth there, going on something like this, like you reach a level of wealth where you're just like, I have to do something that is not normal for everyday humans to do. What can that be? And then like, that's what they get into.
Yeah, because there's definitely like billionaires that you never hear or see from on any kind of media. But then there's ones that, of course, are going to have impulsivity problems, just like normal people. You know, like ADHD or whatever. And then they have the money to fund that. Whereas most people will be at the casino or some, you know what I mean? Or take a random trip without like, you know, really having the money. I guess they go, okay, I'm gonna, because what's the other thing I saw? Oh, they're building like a hotel on the moon. For something like 250,000, whatever, something billionaires can afford. And like, or space hotels. They're talking about space hotels in general, like floating ones. Like because they have the space station up there now for so long. I guess it would make sense to try to privatize it, but again, it's not for you and me.
No.
It's not the average person. It's like not even wealthy people. It's billionaire, like exclusive.
Yeah, it's the exclusive. It's even the people in the millionaire and billionaire club that are excluding people that are just one,
Mm,
two, or three,
yeah.
4 millionaire.
Oh yeah, you're like under 5 million. No, that's
Yeah.
nothing. That's nothing
But
to us.
that goes back to your original point, though, is that I've seen it a lot with this thing where people are making jokes about it and other people are trying to defend them, like saying you shouldn't laugh about that. It's like, well, when rich people do stupid shit that normal people wouldn't do, I mean, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's more of a punching up type of thing. That's what I came to mind with me. I was like, if a billionaire tries to live in a hotel on the moon and something goes wrong, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, like you get a moon virus in your brain. Like I can't help you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sure. Like, yeah, you ask for what you like. Yeah, because like they could take their money. I hate to be this person again. My people, us people,
yeah,
but there's so many billionaires that they could fund homeless
yeah,
shelters
yeah. Yep.
and things like that to clean up the streets of many cities across the country, let alone
Uh,
the suburban regions and stuff like that. But at least in the cities there could be, you've seen it, homeless all over crawling
yeah,
in the city, and they could
yeah.
probably take a quarter of the money
Hmm.
that they have, not even, and then still have plenty of billions left to make and give to their kids. This is,
Yeah.
it's not like
Ton.
that's what I think about is like billionaires and stuff. They don't always have like legions, like 10 kids and stuff. They're like having two kids, like a modest, normal family,
Yeah.
expecting them to become something wealthy, some kind of at
Yeah.
least a doctor or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Good job putting them through school, most likely, unless they're just party kids like the owner's son. Was it the owner's son or no? It was the British billionaire
Yeah.
Hamish or something his name was.
Yeah. The one of his sons was at a Blink 182 concert. Was that it?
And then also like tweeting at like an OnlyFans model to like hit him up.
During all of this, or was that surface?
During it was
Oh
like
my God.
while that was going on, but also it's so funny because like they say son, the media is so funny. I went to school for media and I quit because it's heinous and they lie.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but the it was like they say this, the son, so you just see the headline, the son, oh his son, what a piece of shit, in your head you go, what a piece of shit kid, he's at a Blink 182. But then it was like they showed him and he was like older, like he's not like a kid.
Oh my
And
God. Yeah.
like,
Like he wasn't like he was just a 13 or 14-year-old or even a 10.
no,
Like
because
he was.
that's like us when we go to Blink 182 concerts when we're kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's people like older than us that are going to it. It's like, throwback millennials
Yeah.
that are like
Oh,
going to the Blink 182 concert, maybe taking their teenager.
oh man.
So it's
Yeah.
like, it
Yeah.
was, but like they kept making it seem like it was like his son, his son.
Yeah,
And
I always say, because I had a journalism minor in college as myself, and just seeing all of that, like just little words or phrases like that in headlines, always just really, and then people like most of the people don't even notice it, don't, it just goes by, and then like I just see it all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, how are people falling for this shit?
yeah. And like the more, I rewatched Idiocracy recently. Are you
Oh, really?
familiar? And
Yeah, 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 yeah,
it's just like the more I see that, they were predicting that was like the year 2500. I'm talking like 2050. I think we're getting there.
yeah, yeah.
Just with that in mind, because like then I try to do my own research, especially like I'm coming on here. I'm
Uh-huh.
like trying to like, and then you get like I even go on alternative browsers and stuff and try to get different, see what
Yeah.
comes up, not just Google. And it's like the same picked headline then 27 different articles in a row or whatever from all the different sites you got to then go through, and the average person is not fucking doing that.
No, no, no. No one's going to that. Not many people are going to that lengths. I do the same thing though, trying to go to Google. I'll go on DuckDuckGo. I'll use different browsers, try and, keep it fresh. There's
Yeah.
different news sites that'll break up like the slant of any different ones. So I'll look at ones that are more this way, that way, down the middle. And yeah, most people aren't doing that. That's for sure.
Yeah, like no one, like unless I took journalism in school, like go to like Al Jazeera also and look at their point, and BBC,
Yeah.
and instead of just American based sites,
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
tailored to our type of people that are mostly just largely looking for that sensational, like,
Yep.
oh my God, did you hear type headline.
Yep.
And
That's usually they're just going after the large group of people. But even speaking of going after or doing your own research, I've done my own research specifically on the Titanic, and there's a fun conspiracy. Have you ever looked into the Titanic never sank conspiracy theory?
oh, I think I've seen that around, but I have not pursued it. What's the gist there? What's the
It,
gist?
it's a little one of those clickbaity headlines, not sinking, because essentially what it is the Titanic had a sister ship called the Olympia, and it looks exactly the same. It's similar in size, but the thought was that the original Titanic had a bunch of issues that couldn't be saved financially wise. So they swapped ships. So that way it became like the largest maritime issue. I think the Olympia, actually, I might be getting that backwards. I'm not making a great point for my
I think
conspiracy.
I've read a little bit about it, and like you think you're
Yeah.
right. It's something
I'm
like
on,
there was an original version of it.
yeah. And it basically had a bunch of issues that insurance wouldn't cover. So then they sank it on purpose by saying the Olympia was the Titanic. They sent it out, it sank, and cashed an insurance check that was worth
Okay.
in today's money like $50 million or something.
Okay.
But a lot of wealthy people, JP Morgan and a few others, had art collections that were on the Titanic that were going to sell, and they pulled them off like last minute.
Last second.
Yeah, like literally within days of the Titanic setting sail. So there's like fishy stuff with that. There's a bunch of conspiracies out there that show photos of them swapping like the names on ships and everything. Pretty interesting to look into. I don't think I did it justice, but there's plenty of stuff out there about that conspiracy. So
Now that you're saying it, I feel like when I was deep into conspiracy stuff years ago, I do believe I've seen some of that information about the art. Thank you for bringing that back up and like making me remember it.
yeah,
Because it almost makes sense to recoup their investment that
yeah.
they had put in. They're
Hmm.
like, all right, let's just tank this thing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the people that were involved were some of the world's richest, wealthiest people at the time as well. JP Morgan was a finance guy too. So like
Yes. Yeah,
they all
obviously.
think they were in on the just the largest maritime insurance scam in history, basically. Now there are people that try and refute that, obviously, but I like to stick with that story myself.
um yeah, I obviously every conspiracy theory gives people the kind of chills that they're like, that's humans aren't possible of that behavior, because we all want to believe people are as good as we are usually.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like I do the same thing. That's how you get in like bad friendships and bad relationships sometimes that you don't notice, because you're like at first you're like, "No, they're fine." But then like we all have darkness. I've faced my shadows. And like I also, I'm the opposite. I went like journalism major and I did film minor.
Oh, okay.
So I was like always like, if there's anything you've seen in a movie one time, it's went through someone's brain. And that means with parallel thinking, it's went through someone else's brain somewhere without there being a movie about it.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
chance if they could orchestrate something like that. um I
yeah,
used to be a big 9/11 person, moon landing.
yeah,
Not that they don't exist in the back of my mind still, but I don't talk about them as much.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
gives people that idea that you believe that the government could be so anti-humanity
Hmm.
when generally they kind of are.
Yeah. And I've
uh,
seen enough and read enough about the same stuff too, where it's just you would have never known if the internet never became a thing. But the fact that that opened up to so much of this stuff is pretty insane. And then so many people I know, they're like, no, they couldn't even fathom the thought of a government not being the most, there for their people, or
yeah,
all
yeah,
front their mind is for their people. I
in
was
the
like,
best interest of the
yeah,
people. And it's like
exactly.
they don't, like with the way our country's run with the FDA, they don't do anything in our interest here.
Yeah, yeah,
They want us sick and dying and depressed, and like it's
yeah.
just
And
that.
nowadays, everything is just like there's so much crazy stuff going on, from this Titanic thing to alien stuff. Like every other day, there's just something new that people can just go into some conspiracy about or look into. It gets very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how anybody is bored anymore. I mean, there's so much stuff.
And yeah, and there's like the increase I noticed in like official or expert people coming out that have been just sitting on secrets for so long, and there may be like,
Yeah.
never know, maybe they got diagnosed with a terminal illness, or they just feel like, hey, I can make myself have a platform with this secret thing I know. Because
Hmm.
I was watching something about because that was another one of my conspiracy theories, that like an earthquake happened and caused them to have a problem while they were down there, because there's all these earthquakes happening underneath Italy on one side. Have you seen that?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So like Italy's pretty skinny. It's like kind of like your
Yeah.
Jersey in the background there.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
Fuck New Jersey. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm
Um
right there with you.
I but it's like, so if like you took a quarter, the closest quarter to the water on your jersey,
Yeah.
for the people watching on YouTube. And there was a segments of it underneath it, earthquakes underneath the surface kept happening in like 4 different spots.
Um,
They're saying it's gonna like break off and have like a part of it break off.
yeah.
The same way
Huh.
the side of California could kind of break off if there was enough earthquakes along the fault lines.
Interesting. Is that right where Pompeii is, where all that's happening? That's
It's
in Italy, right?
There's been some stuff in like Greece and the Italy area that I saw. What did I see in Greece? There was like a chemical spill right when we had like the Ohio, besides that Ohio chemical train spill,
Yeah.
the wildfires burning, all these weird like environmental disasters that have happened
Yeah.
recently too. And what they're saying about those earthquakes is there is this pulse machine at the bottom at the South Pole that is designed
Huh.
to got a laser in it that's designed to be able to take out alien spacecraft if needed. Honestly, this guy, like this expert, came out and was saying this. There's this giant green laser housed in this building, and you'll never
Wow.
see it because you won't go to the South Pole. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even if
It's
you
one
did,
of
it'd be easy to disguise it within snow and ice with
the
what you wouldn't be able to see it.
exactly a mountain, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they they're saying it takes so much like force obviously to like fire this thing up that that's what's causing these weird earthquakes and stuff that have caused every tsunami since like 2000 something 2007,
Damn.
like starting with the Indonesia tsunami and whatever.
Damn.
And I
That's pretty
totally believe it.
interesting. Who would be funding? Like, who is that a UN thing? Is that a
It's
US
like
thing?
the one world government. You know what I mean? When people say that,
Oh,
like the Illuminati and shit like that, there's
the
gotta
people that wear
be,
like the goat head masks and meet under a mountain
or
somewhere.
even
Yeah.
just think about the billionaires that fell apart in the thing today.
Yeah.
Those kind of people that we will never know them. We will
No.
never sit at a table with them. We will never be in the same restaurant with them in
No.
this lifetime. um that they can fund projects and the defense, like okay, so they say the defense department is for wars, and then they'll put out these projections on the news that, okay, we spent all of these hundreds of millions of dollars on the wars, but it's like, who's none of us are sitting around tabulating every penny, and the IRS is gonna lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who's calculating up how where every dollar went when they just take, because my brother works for a military warehouse. So a lot
Hmm.
of the weapons and stuff that were going to Ukraine and stuff were like just old ones we had sitting around already. So that they can just redline that on a sheet somewhere and balance the
Yeah.
totals out. Because my first degree was in accounting. Um,
Oh man, you're pretty qualified across the board. You're almost hitting everything.
as
You
someone
got some finance, some film, some journalism. Well, you got if you got any mathematics in there, you might be a scholar that we
oh yeah,
need.
no, I was in trig. I took trig early because I could in high school.
Oh Jesus, that's terrible at any math. God, I
uh,
avoided that.
uh, it's my autism. I don't know. No, yeah, but yeah, so like I know there's ways to hide money, like
Yeah.
as a forensic accountant, and
Ooh, yep.
they just kind of like, I don't know. Either way, they could take a few billion, I'm sure,
Mhm.
whatever, build some laser 20 years ago or whatever, and have lied to all of us about it and just said it was because there's always research down in Antarctica, even though nothing can fucking survive down there. It's just
Yeah.
like exploring Mars. Like, what are you idiots doing
Yeah.
besides hiding an alien laser?
Yeah. It's not just David Attenborough down there with a camera looking at penguins. There's a little bit more going on. Yeah.
And they've recently, this is public knowledge, come out and been saying so much. Officials have been saying, Trump was the first to come out and say, like, yeah, there's aliens. Straight up. There's
Yeah.
aliens. You got to be stupid to think that there's not aliens somewhere.
Exactly. I've always been on board since it was my 8th grade science teacher. He said in our class, we were going through like the solar system and all this stuff. And he held up his pencil day one and he's like, if this pencil tip, the tip of the pencil is our solar system, the rest of the room is the entire universe right now, even though it's getting bigger,
Yeah.
which was pretty crazy thinking about just that on the tip of the pencil and then the size of the
It's,
rest of the room.
yeah.
Yeah.
As a
So if you're
little
sitting there,
kid.
yeah, as like in 8th grade, I was like, if anybody thinks there's nothing more outside of that, it's pretty remarkable. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, okay, I agree. There's probably no life in our solar system, but we don't even know that.
yeah, yeah,
Because now
yeah,
they're saying there's like a green light on Jupiter that they saw that's just surfacing now. It's like they
yeah.
took the picture 10 years ago, but they're just pointing it
Huh.
out now and putting it into the media now. And it's like, don't go investigate it. Let's leave that green light alone. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just gas from a lightning strike.
Yeah.
Mm,
I know everybody likes to talk about what they like to think is going on out and like other what aliens are doing if they're watching us, if they're coming here for resources, whatever. But I'm in that camp of people that hopes that this is all just one big reality show, that
yes.
we're just the topic and we're the nightly program that they tune into.
Truman
As
Show.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. It's just like that. And they're like, oh, did you see these billionaires that got stuck at the bottom of that pit filled with water? Like people were actually going there. Like that's
You remember
they
that
are
time?
prop.
Remember that time we dropped that giant bowling ball in that other boat that fell down there?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
out of the sky.
yeah. They're just laughing about all the shit they know about. They killed Kennedy too, and they're like, they're still talking about it. 60, 70 years later, they're still
Yeah.
talking about it.
I have a friend that's a huge theorist on that one.
That one
Uh,
is so many possibilities, but it's crazy how that's taken such a back seat to everything because of all the other ones
yeah,
that have come up recently.
yeah,
It's just that one isn't talked about as much because there's a million and one better ones that have come up. That was a
yeah,
solid one though.
yeah. They're like, oh, this one president that wanted to end the war in Cuba, the missile crisis. So forget him.
Yeah, yeah,
Forget
yeah.
that guy. We don't know
Well,
about him.
so much of the Kennedy stuff is coming back up because RFK Jr. is running for
Yeah,
president and
yeah,
he's talking about all that. So I like the resurgence of that because, and especially the fact that he thinks the CIA did it.
yeah.
I was like, oh, this would be great if it ever came out that the government, like, there's
Was
no way it
involved.
would ever come
I
out.
mean,
But
there's so many like things I've watched that point to that. That
yeah,
somebody just needed to take them out,
yeah,
and it was the fucking 60s.
yeah, yeah,
Just get a sniper, you put him in a window, you blame
yeah,
it on some other guy that's a
yeah,
criminal, boom,
yep,
case
yep,
closed.
yep.
There weren't even that advanced of lawyers then. It's like,
No, they just had that shitty little Zapruder film on the camera that you probably had to sit there and do this with. And
and like cells all got burned out from the heat and the carrying case in the sun in the car, and there's
yeah,
just missing frames. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that one's an all-time great. I was huge in the Biggie and Tupac ones as well. The
Oh
government was
yeah.
that one. I mean, it's nonstop. This is the stuff that's so entertaining for me. That's my entertainment. I mean, I don't watch the
True.
Kardashians, but I'll watch that stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna do our own again. I'm gonna share another screen here before we take a break for our first half. Let's see
Yeah, let's
here.
do
I
it.
got that one queued up. All right, we're gonna just talk real quick on this one. We got that. You may have heard this one. That there are a lot of these now that because of droughts, there are actually ancient cities popping up all over the world or like
Huh,
resurfacing. So this one is a 3,400-year-old city in Iraq that briefly emerged above the water of a drain reservoir.
that's wild.
Yeah.
What are they finding in those cities that came up?
Um, I'm not exactly too researched on it. Obviously, just clearly this you could tell this was like there was houses and roadways, but like how the water here is clearing out. It's more important that the drought because of the
Yeah,
climate change is like I'm wondering like okay, maybe Atlantis isn't a city under the sea. Maybe it was
yeah,
drought times and then it got waters rose
yeah. That
and covered it up.
that they built it, they didn't know that it was because of a drought. They built this whole city, and then however long later, it just took it over. Like,
Floods or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Just if there was like if Pangea is really a thing that like the split apart parts of and like pushing water around displacement of water because that's just a
yeah,
normal scientific thing that if you move the matter or like the weight in water it displaces it temporarily especially and rains periods of rains and drought and climate change. So they're saying they suspect the lost city of Zahuku, a major hub in the Bronze Age, was destroyed by an earthquake 3,400 years ago. In a surreal twist, the remains of the settlement are periodically reappearing as the result of different types of disaster, human-driven climate change, which has been particularly devastating to Iraq. It's already hot as hell there. It's already deserts. Um, Before these emergencies, the lost city wasn't seen for decades. So they've seen it before, which is crazy and weird.
that's
Like
it. Just like comes and goes.
it's just like, oh, that city's back. The
Yeah, it's
city's out again.
just like the McRib. It comes back every now and then disappears. It's It just comes back when it wants to. You don't know when it does until it shows up and someone sees it, and then you hear about it, and it just spreads. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they're saying the nation has suffered such extreme heat and scant rainfall that its most important water reservoir located in the Tigris River has been drained to levels that expose the ancient city and its treasures, including roughly 100 cuneiform tablets that have been preserved underwater. So there you go. They found cuneiform tablets.
Oh
Um,
God.
a team of Kurdish and German archaeologists who have known about this city for years were able to conduct a short visit when the ruins resurfaced in 2018. Very odd. That's the same year they were going to do that Titan expedition.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Watch something has a drought around Newfoundland, and we see the Titan eventually, or all
Yeah,
the
that's what I
bodies.
was thinking. And the Titanic, like that could reappear. You know,
Yeah, we could do walking tours of the Titanic then. Wouldn't that be great?
that would actually be super cool.
I don't know what I don't know what cuneiform tablets are.
Oh, that is
I have
like
a
I think
Kindle and an iPad, but
they used to write on them. I think. Hold on.
oh,
Yeah, it's like some kind of a wedge-shaped character. Oh, these things, like these where they like
oh,
tap tap
okay.
tap like the hieroglyphics and stuff.
Dude, that
So
that is so much more intricate than I can write with my own hands with
it's
a ball
like, yeah,
pen now.
it's like calligraphy. It's like crazy. Yeah. So
Man,
yeah, so they found a bunch of those. So it's like record keeping that proof that humans were there, basically, or
yeah.
aliens, maybe.
The only thing
um
close to this that I've heard is that Loch Ness and that lake in Scotland where the Loch Ness monster is. They said that the water levels are going so low there that they might be able to emerge the Loch Ness monster because it won't have anywhere to go. So I'm looking forward to see if that's a thing.
what were they saying? Like Thomas has a joke about it. Thomas Patrick has a joke about how it's really actually just like the picture itself is a whale that's breached in the water, turned upside down on its back's dick. They're thinking that's actually what Nessie is now.
Yeah. Oh, I would love
Like
for that
someone
to
just
be
caught a
true.
picture in 1942 or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So let's see here. See if there's anything else cool here. Yeah, so they're saying, yeah, 2018. So they knew about this thing. Okay, here's what they in the latest excavation, they documented new buildings, including a defensive wall and towers, an industrial center, and a huge storage center that likely contained imported goods. But it's the most exciting result, they're saying, because it's written messages that could they could figure out the coding, and I'd be good at that, I feel like. Though I used to do
Moving the
those like
tablets.
the figure out the hieroglyphs or whatever,
Yeah. Oh,
Um
yeah, that stuff. You know what? I always liked when they would read the hieroglyphics in the Mummy movies with
oh
Brendan Fraser.
yeah.
I could
Yeah.
never do it, but
Did you ever go on the Mummy ride at Universal Studios?
I don't remember that one. No, what was that like?
It's pretty fun. It's like you're kind of just in a little like rickety, like you feel like you're in an old 1940s, like one of those coal cars that like goes on the little tracks, like Donkey Kong or something. And
Yeah.
you start going and you're just like, it seems real slow at first, and then all of a sudden it's just like foo, and you go like around like crazy corner and you come back up. There's like fire at the one part.
Huh.
It's pretty cool. And there's never a line because it's just like a Brendan Fraser movie.
It's been around, probably been around for a little bit too.
Yeah, it resurfaced, Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
out. It's definitely been out for a long time, I feel like. Because when did those movies come out? Early 2000s?
99, I think was the first
Yeah,
one.
you're right.
1000 maybe.
You might be right. Yeah. So they're probably gonna get rid of that shit soon. They're gonna be like, if they don't make another movie, this is gonna be played out. Like they got rid of the
Yeah.
Back to the Future eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
let's see here.
Uh,
Oh, they're saying this is cool. It's the tape that even though the tablets were made of unfired clay, which is when you put it in the kiln and like put the clear coat over it, it survived with all the stuff like writing and stuff intact.
Pretty
Yeah, they're
neat.
just trying to find about this lost city. And they're talking about droughts, and I've been thinking about it a lot in general, just because of the glaciers and stuff that are because we could be washed over and then be an ancient world, you
How
know?
wild would that be,
Like,
right?
yeah, like and that could be because my uncle used to always say, like, I have this one crazy, like conspiracy uncle taught me
Oh,
my
we all got
ways.
one of
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
But he would always say, like, if the earth doesn't want us here, it will kind of just like go like this and we'll be gone, like just get
Yeah.
us out of its hair or
Yeah.
whatever. And like by a giant wave, just one big wave, if it just like shrugged its shoulders. And the earth has enough power to do whatever it wants. And there's a lot of weird theories now about how you were talking about like the Truman Show theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot more people talking about like the idea that the energy center in the earth, like the frequency that it vibrates at, is actually changed in the last few days.
Huh. Like the
Like
last few days,
the
like
last few days, like within the last week, like since this shit went down, I saw a couple different things about they're saying it's always at like one frequency and suddenly it's like a different one. And that's like the heartbeat of the earth.
huh.
And it's kind of like when you get a heart palpitation or if your fucking chest feels weird, for a minute, your heart kind of skips a beat. It's like
Yeah.
that could cause some kind of weird earthquake or something in my
Yeah.
mind, the way I think of things, the way I picture things.
Yeah. I,
So,
I kind of I kind of do like the thought of people like we getting us getting washed over and then becoming an ancient civilization and people are aliens thousands of years from now or around this area. Like, what did they used to do with this or that? Like, that would be pretty wild.
yeah, like because they say plastic never degrades and everything we own is plastic. So they're going to find laptops. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They'll find this MacBook that I'm recording on,
Yeah. And
probably.
tons of the same things. I'm like, what was wrong
Yeah.
with it? What are they
Yeah, like
doing?
and then like I guess all the trash would then just be down there with us that's already here or the trash. I actually live near Trash Mountain. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No, I haven't. Where's that at?
It's in Pennsylvania. It's kind of on the border between Jersey, right little cusp of your middle of your Jersey. Yeah, like the one that's right there's a red, yep, right in that V, right there. That's kind of where Trenton, the capital city, is, right in that V.
Oh,
So,
you're like right across from like Florence Roebling,
yeah.
Jersey side.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah. Mhm.
what do you call them? I don't know. I'm blanking on the name.
Landfill.
Landfill.
Landfill. It's called
Yeah.
Trash Mountain. It's in this book called Weird Pennsylvania. It's called Trash Mountain because it looks like a mountain in the distance. It's so big.
Oh,
Because we
okay.
get we get trash from like Brooklyn and all kinds of weird places shipped down here, like because the
Pretty
government
con
gets benefits.
It's a pretty convenient location for trash then, I guess. I thought that was what this entire state was for. I thought we were
Well,
trash mountain.
I mean, like they're technically like getting it over between us somehow.
Yeah. We can just blame the New Yorkers. We should just, instead of fighting with each other, that's how they want to distract us as a PA versus Jersey thing, but we should all be just getting against New York. That's what it
Yeah,
should be.
yeah,
God.
yeah. It's just they're like Jersey's trash, just load it up, just load it up. So I don't agree.
I
It's
don't
wrong.
blame. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
rude.
Can't blame them.
Anyway, so I know you brought me a weird story, like I ask everyone to do.
Yeah, yeah. What are some of the weird stories you usually like? What's the weirdest
So
story?
far,
Even not even on the podcast, but just in general. Like, is there anything
okay.
like coincidence wise?
Oh, coincidence wise, that's my whole life.
You had a lot of coincidence because I actually, and I remember I was telling you, I was like, let me think back because I know of a few, and this is the one that stood out. But I was like, let me really think hard and see if there's something I just like put in the dark corner of my mind to forget about, or like I don't know. Like, do you have a lot of them happen?
Mine are constant and frequent because I'm very matrix oriented. That's my like conspiracy theory. I don't do the reality show anymore. I do the matrix.
Yeah. Okay.
Um so I have noticed the patterns and the repetitions and the 01 number things. Like I always constantly see those
Uh,
like 1111, but it's not like time to make a wish. It's like, oh, the matrix is telling me this is significant in my progress, in my mission,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying. That's
And
interesting.
so like I just had the weirdest coincidence happen. I started a part-time job like in February, Marchish, and I don't know, it's out of my last industry, which was dealing with homes, like real estate sales for a long time. Like I did the numbers for those for a long time. And so this is just numbers accounting for a company that makes race gear for like marathons and stuff. Like just
Oh,
we
okay.
coordinate making it between all the different vendors. So I just do the numbers. So anyway, I don't know anything. My old job, I would run into people I knew all the time buying houses. Like, oh, this person's buying a house. Look at their whatever. Never thought about it twice. My manager comes into me yesterday or the day before, and goes, I heard her on the phone with her husband saying something about, well, Sonia's a comedian. I'm going to ask her if she knows him. And she goes, hey, we got a seller on my house, like 'cause they had a bidding war or whatever. And she goes, you know this guy? And she goes, Kevin Ryan. And I go, yep. I know him personally, actually. She goes, oh. And then I went, she goes, well, double check, make sure it's really him because we Googled him.
It's probably a pretty common name too. I
It's
mean,
a that's kind of seems like a common name. Yeah. So no, it's him. I messaged him. What are the odds?
that's wild for stuff like
My
that. Yeah.
Because my last job in my last industry closed down last year. That's why I was out of a job. I didn't have a job
Yeah.
for a year. Took forever to find one. I go, I'm getting out of that industry. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't care. I'll take anything, just accounting, just numbers, and
Mhm.
end up at this random job that I haven't gone in an office for years. And I have to go in and talk to this lady, and she had to sell her house because she had some, like, she put in like a fraudulent fence without permits at her last house, and like
Oh man.
got in trouble with the neighbor, and like had to pay him money. And then so she was like, oh, well, whatever, I'm gonna get in this other house. And then something happened. Like they decided they're gonna move smaller place, whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is, her person was, and she comes in and out of nowhere. Of all the comics in New York that there are,
Yeah.
that I do know a ton, but like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what's the explanation there? I like to go in. So with your story in mind, when we're talking about it, I like to talk to people about like, how could that possibly align other than reasons like things like Buddhist theories about soul families and soul
Hmm.
connections and people you meet in every lifetime,
Yeah.
and like people that are just in your life for a reason. And Kevin's one of the first people I've known since I started comedy. And it's like, it comes all full circle. Fucking, he's been doing it longer than me, but like 16 years now or whatever, something like that.
Hmm.
So it's like, after being in Philly, knowing him in Philly, I live back here. He lives up New York still. Moving back down within a few minute drive of my house where I live.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just,
Like what are the odds of that happening, but then also, like you said, the coming full circle around with stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I always hear people say the small world type of thing, but like there's a lot of ones that are like even beyond just like, oh, what a like a very tiny coincidence. There's ones that are a little bit more than that. So it is crazy to think about it like that. And I can't say I have before. So this really
yeah.
got me jogging on it. So yeah.
All right, cool. Because I like to call them the Easter eggs in life because I'm a big gamer.
Yeah, you know what? That makes sense. That's really what they are. They
Yeah.
they do stand out as an Easter egg like that. Yeah, you're right.
It's like, in because so sometimes there's a previous reference too. There'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, remember in Act One? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is a callback in there. That is
there's a
true.
callback. And we all exist. Our DNA is pattern. Our DNA is literally patterns replicating.
Yeah.
Our very existence is patterns. And when people do DMT and stuff like that, and I've done that stuff in the past, like, it's, you see those patterns come out as fractals and the stuff like that, and Fibonacci sequence and all these things that are like, we are just zero ones. We're math. We're
Yeah.
perfect math because everything's like perfectly rounded, and something like the cell structures and like,
Hmm.
I don't know. So think about that, and let's get into your story. Let's go.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about it like that. Yeah, let's see if we can make any sense of this one because I
Uh,
sure haven't been able to in the
okay.
last
All right. Set me
seven or
up.
eight.
Set me up. Where are we talking?
Okay.
What time
Okay.
wise?
Time wise, this was my sophomore year of college, so about 2012,
Okay.
2012 roughly.
Okay.
So 2012, back on college winter break, back home in my hometown. I went to school out in like central PA, grew up
Okay.
in Jersey. So I'm back in Jersey.
Okay.
So I get to see friends from high school I grew up with, hang around. We would go out and everything. Had a nice little fake ID,
Mhm.
had a Philly fake ID. Jersey was too hard to replicate. So I had one down in South Philly that I used
Yes.
for. So we would go
I
out to,
appreciate that. I really do.
yeah, yeah,
I
I
knew
still
someone.
remember.
I knew someone with a fake ID that I dated between 2010 and 2012.
Yeah, well,
Coincidence.
was their address 2012 Mildred Street? Because I still remember it to this day. Because I was like, if they ask me to repeat it, I'll know it.
That shit's on your credit report somewhere somehow.
Yeah, I guarantee you I have that ID somewhere in my basement.
I
And
love it. Anyway, all right. You got the fake ID.
got the fake ID. We're going out to different bars back on break. Some of my friends were already 21. So
Okay.
like I didn't want to be left out. We would go to some local places. It worked everywhere. This was the most solid fake ID ever.
It
It
was a
got
good. It was a good era for fake IDs before they got too digitized.
exactly. It was in that sweet spot where like it was right before everything got way too like real
Like
ID type
signing
of
on the thing, like the pin pad and stuff.
exactly. Yeah. So it was perfect timing for all of that. We got to go out to bars and everything. Some of them, I don't know if you've ever been to like in Jersey, like Cherry Hill area, Marlton area, there's like PJs and stuff they would have.
I've driven
Um,
through. I do not participate in like Jersey bars that hang out, but I'm sure there's suburban bars up here that are exactly the same.
yeah, sometimes where they'll get a live band or a cover
Yep.
band on a Saturday night, and
Ours is
it's kind of
AJ's. AJ's we
yeah.
got.
CJ's, is that what you said?
AJ's.
Oh, H is yeah,
Yeah,
age. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's just like that. That's what we would go out to, and it's a nice like kind of social setting. It's loud as
sure.
shit. You
Loud as
hear
fuck.
everybody talk. Yeah. So I was back and met somebody there. I met this girl. I don't I'll name drop right now. Her name was Jackie.
Okay.
We met at this place. I don't even know if it was her real name. Who knows?
A fake.
So
Good Jersey name though. Good
yeah,
Jersey cover name.
I had a fake ID that had my real name on it because I was an upstanding citizen. All right. I was a legit guy. Um, I was probably maybe 20, 19 or 20 at this point anyway.
Okay.
So we were in the bar, we were talking, whatever. All my friends, it was a friend group of guys with a group of girls. It wasn't like, anything crazy, but we were talking there. And after the night was over, we exchanged numbers. So it was like, oh, if you're going to be back around on break, we kind of talked over the next week or so. So it was nice. She was a nice girl and everything. It got weird because then I had my annual physical. I'm home on winter break. Always scheduled that. I went to a pediatrician that I grew up going to until I was like 22. I'm one of those people. Um, so I go in there for my physical. It's in just the doctor's office right before New Year's, and they ask me when I'm in there, naked and under with that sheet gown, like the paper gown that you
I've
sit on. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm in that and I'm sitting there and it's an old woman that's doing the physical for me, my general practitioner. And she's like, oh, well, we also have like, some med students that are observing physicals. Do you mind? And I'm like, I don't care. No, I was like, we're just sitting here. You're going to bang the little
Thing on
triangle
my
on.
knee. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to do that, all of that. I didn't know there was a lot more to come from that, but in walks that Jackie that I met at the bar.
Jacqueline, Jackie,
Yeah.
aka.
Yeah. So she comes walking in and I don't even make eye contact with her. At first, I wasn't going to be like somebody walk in and I just like, immediately make
Yeah,
eye
you just
contact.
like, yeah.
She's like, okay. And she opens the door and she comes in. So I'm still talking to her. And then I kind of like, I don't know. It was one of those things where you ever feel like somebody's looking at you or looking at you
Oh,
weird?
constantly. Constantly people do that to me. Do you know how many people stare weird at me? And I'm like, what are you fucking looking at? But
Yeah.
yes, go
That's how
on.
anytime that happens, I want to react the
Felt it
same
like
way.
this. It feels like it's burnt like a
Yeah.
laser into your
Like there's
face.
something, yeah, like right there. So
Mhm.
I'm looking at the GP sitting in the chair and I'm up on the whatever you call the table you sit on. I'm talking to her and then I just like I don't want to break eye contact with her because she's walking me through and asking me questions, but then I like kind of glance over. This girl's just standing there like just wide-eyed, just like staring at me. And it's like one of those things where it's like, do I address the situation with this older lady who probably is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I could have very easily said like, listen, we just met at a bar. This is weird. But I was already committed. I said yes. So I'm
Wait,
like,
so older ladies in the room still. The
yeah, because she's the
okay,
one
because
doing the
she's
physical.
they can't leave you alone with the student, probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I kind of wanted to I was like in my head, like not even listening to what she was saying. I was like, do I just say something to get her out of the room? Like I already committed to it. If I commit to something, I can't back out of it. I'm one of those people that like, if I say somebody like months from now that I'm going to be at their house for something, anything could come up, I'm still going to get there.
Okay.
So, so she
Better
is just
person than me, but
I'm so bad at excuses. I can't come
I
up with
don't make
excuses.
excuses. I just straight up go, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I won't do excuses.
Oh, well, I can respect that then. You're just like, yeah, I'm not
I'm
coming.
just, I can't do it. Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so you're like, okay, she's here. She's staring at me. We made this
She,
eye contact now. We recognize each other. We know in
yeah.
our heads. All right.
Make that she knows it. I know it.
You're like, you're like, mm.
It was less than a week. We were at that
Okay.
place on a Saturday. This was on like Wednesday the next week. So
All
like
right. Wait,
less than a
okay.
week.
Well, all right. So the radius of where do you live in relation to this doctor's office and the bar?
So where I live about where my parents' house at where I was on college break was about 10 minutes north of where the doctor's is.
Okay.
The bar that we were at Vera in Cherry Hill.
Oh, I
It's
know
like
where that is. I know where that is.
that night this doctor's office was in Mount Laurel. That's like
Uh,
15 minutes max.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't even know what medical school or what school she was at. Probably a Philly one, maybe a Jefferson, maybe, there's
Could
so
be.
many of
There's
them.
like Robert Wood Johnson in Jersey. There's Jersey hospitals too.
Yeah,
So
Rowan ones too.
yeah,
Yeah, all types of ones. So definitely in the area. We were at a bar in Cherry Hill. This was Mount Laurel. It's all South Jersey right there.
yeah.
So we know immediately she's not going to say anything. She was kind of quiet, and when I was talking to her anyway at the place, but we go through the entire physical. But it gets weird because it's a physical, and I'm like thinking of like what's next because I never
Mhm.
know. I had to lay. I don't know if they do this with girls' physicals and guys' physicals can be a little different.
They don't really do physicals to us.
Really?
No, because we don't have, we go get gyno exams.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
like the part of us that can go wrong. And they check, they check the titties and the important
Yeah.
parts. Otherwise, they'll do like, all they do is listen to my chest and go, okay, like breathe.
Yeah. It starts with that. Then it
Yeah.
gets a little more aggressive. Then she's like, I'm going to need you to lay on your back. And she starts going up my sides with her cold old woman fingers, like
Oh,
pressuring on the sides. And
I
I'm
can
very
feel it.
ticklish. Yeah. I'm so ticklish. And I'm like sitting there like a 19. I'm just like, I'm like giggling and stuff. This girl's just standing there. And like, I swear her facial expression didn't change from, it wasn't one of those that was like looking in disgust or smiling. It was just neutral, which was even weirder.
Just like,
Like blank. Yes, like that, just like staring. And I'm like, oh, this is so strange. Go
that
through the
is
entire
weird.
physical. Of course, the old woman's like, okay, now give me a nice hard cough. One of those two. Very strange. Obviously, I think they put she like positioned like in the room to where she wasn't like just looking at me naked or anything, but like she kind of stood behind me and the woman just like kind of moved my gown around basically and like did all of that. I was like, it's also
It's
one of the
so, you're naked under there and she knows you're naked under there.
yeah, yeah. And it's like she's just holding a little sheet that she's just like Turo with a bowl. And it's just like she's pulling it up and I'm
Ha.
behind. Yeah, yeah. So she's been there for the entire physical, even the part after all the touching, the physical part of the physical and asking questions.
Yeah.
Um, I was going in there with the mindset of like, I'm home on break. I want an Adderall prescription. Like everyone I was like, I was like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
going into it. I was committed to it. I was
I
like, let me just
mean,
tell her that I have all these issues
I
going
can't
on.
focus, whatever. Yeah.
I don't want to say I need Adderall, but I'm trying to say I need it without saying it. And this lady wasn't going to buy it. So I just sounded like an idiot. I'm like stumbling over myself. I'm like freaking out that she's standing there. Um,
She's like,
it's
he's a fucking drug addict. Great.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's like this is somebody I've known for 4 days,
Like
5 days.
had you even gotten to the point of asking like where she lived or any of that, like details, or were you just more like you met
No,
and
no, because it was Saturday night. We were at that
okay,
place. Didn't
you
even,
like
I had her number, didn't
you
even
didn't
text on
even do the
Sunday.
first text yet or anything?
Nope,
Oh
no.
shit.
Played that game. A little bit of Monday, little on Tuesday, nothing in depth, nothing in
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then we after that whole physical was over, that was she left the room before I did. I go out, pay the copay and leave and whatever. And I'm sitting there driving back to my parents and I'm like, do I address this in a text message? Do I say something to like I was like, it has to be funny because that was weird. Like I have to address the elephant in the room. I was like, I gave it some time. So I waited another day. I wanted to make a joke and I go ahead and text it to her. We were texting back and forth the entire time. It was all blue text bubbles. We both had iPhones. This was 20, what did I say? Like
12.
2012,
Yeah.
13. Yeah. So we had iMessage and everything going. I go to send her a message when I forget even what I said, but I made some joke about it, like, oh, that was a fun
Yeah.
second, first date or second date
Okay.
or something. I
Haha.
could have
Yeah.
sent it and it just immediately was a green text bubble. The whole thread above was blue, and then this one was green. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even have her last name. No one else even got numbers from her friend group. No idea. And I was just like, okay, so I guess that's the end of that. So to me, that's like she blocked my number. Like that's
Oh,
it.
is that what that is? Because you know what's funny is I've actually always had Android, and I was like, she suddenly got an Android, and then I didn't get iPhone until 2021, till after the pandemic, because I was like, well, I
Oh,
need a
really?
yeah, because I was like, well, I've been single for way too long, and I think it's because I have an Android.
Uh, yeah, I it's one of those things that if you get that, like for whatever reason, I attribute it to that if you have an iPhone, for the most part, I deal with it like
Yeah.
past, I've sold stuff online.
Yeah.
You can fake and spoof a green text bubble number because it doesn't
Okay.
mean it's an iPhone. If you have
Okay.
an iPhone, I'm like, okay, somebody has an iPhone,
Yeah.
like it's a little bit more legit. It's not a spoofed internet number type of thing.
Sure.
Um, but this one, we were talking and it was iPhone messages and then it wasn't. So if you block somebody,
It
the
turns
message
into the green.
it isn't going through, which means it'll say it's sent, but it's not an iMessage received
Oh,
sent.
okay. I don't.
So that was when I was just, what was my thought about that was like, okay, she blocked the number. I didn't care about. I barely know her. Met her one time, two times in the doctor's office. Um, my thing was, what if I run into her again? I was like, because that's going to be even weirder. Have you ever run into somebody like that you used to be friends with on Facebook, but like you deleted them or they deleted you and you guys know it? Because
Oh
that's
yeah, so
weird.
many comics too.
Yeah. Yeah. Where like let's say you ran into somebody that you know deleted you, and
Yeah, they
it's like,
unfollowed me. Yeah.
yeah, or
Or whatever.
unfollowed you
Yeah, or something
somewhere.
like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm not good with that type of confrontation or awkwardness. And my fear was like, if I run into her in like Wawa or rear end her somewhere, I was like, this is going to get even stranger. Never
Yeah.
saw her again, never heard from her again, never, nothing. It just like, that can never happen. So let's make some sense of that.
All right. Now, okay, so there's huge theories on the people that are supposed to be in your life are supposed to be there. Like I said, like whether they're business associates, someone you are married to or
Uh-huh.
dated. Now, this was someone in your mind. You went, I'm gonna date this person. Maybe that's gonna be the person I marry. You're obviously married to someone different now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So with that in mind, they say you should never look at a relationship as failed. It's
Hmm.
like a Ram Dass theory. Is like you should be like this was just a learning experience in my life, and it doesn't matter that it ended. Like it doesn't at the end of the day when people get all broken up about breakups. Not that it's not hard in the moment to deal with physically. Your brain tells you you're worthless or whatever fucking happened or they cheated,
Yeah.
whatever. It's more of a just like a window, like one of those Easter eggs.
Hmm.
But I'm stuck on thinking about like, all right, so you didn't even know where she lived. Like if she could have lived in Philly and been a
Yeah.
student in Philly, like for all we know at Drexel or whatever, and just ended up that was the doctor's office that gave her an internship
Yeah.
or had teaching students in it that day.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have gone to multiple
Because
places.
you weren't,
Yeah.
and it wasn't attached to a hospital, right? It was an independent little doctor's office,
It was an independent. Now they're a part of a larger thing. But
like a
when she
Jefferson
was,
Health or something like that.
yeah, yeah, like her
Yeah.
Inspira or one of
Yeah,
those. But
whatever. Yeah.
she was wearing their like provided, like all they put
Branded
the like
thing.
little like white coat over
Yeah.
type of thing. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So like, cause I'm thinking about like that aspect of like how she got there and
Yeah.
whether she was living in the area or not. And like compared to where you lived at the time, and it was your doctor
Mhm.
for your whole life, but she ended up going to school, maybe never stepping foot in that doctor's office before.
That could have been her first day in
That could have
there.
been her first day at that place that you've gone your whole life. So there's so much of your energy on there. Now,
Yeah.
energy attracts like kind. And when you're attracted
Hmm.
to someone, you pick up on that vibe. And quantum entanglement is I'm hugely into. I don't know how much you know about it.
Oh, what
Uh,
is that?
it's a newer thought school on like quantum physics where okay, like two particles come in contact of any kind, even dust particles, let's say, whatever, and they become separated. Well, they're our atoms are fluid. They're not like solid circles. When I say circle, it's like a perfect circle. It's not a firm circle. It's like things can permeate it, just like things can go
Hmm.
through your skin barrier or your blood brain barrier, whatever. So when two atoms come in contact, you don't have to really be touching to interact. Like when spiritual people talk about auras and stuff, it's like your energetic
Uh-huh.
field that you're constantly vibrating out. Everything vibrates at a certain frequency. Every single thing vibrates at a
Yeah.
frequency. So
Yeah.
we have our own frequencies, and it depends on how strong of a frequency you have, is how far out your atoms go around you. Some people they say the idea of social distancing is it's 6 feet is your energetic field also.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so your atoms leave you that far, just existing in a state. Now, when people stare at you and you can feel it, it's because they're using their fucking eyeball atoms. You know what I mean? Like your thoughts are heavily
Oh,
tied to your eyes and what you're looking at. Your brain, like all your stuff in your face, is heavily attached to the brain. Your ears, you have certain the way our neurons work. So when you look really hard and you're thinking about like, oh, is that fucking guy I just met in the bar the other night? Like if I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
you and it was me and I was the medical student, I'd be like, and then people don't realize your thoughts are leaving and like hitting that person.
yeah,
So it's like you
yeah,
feel them thinking about you, not looking at you necessarily.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
quantum entanglement means when you come in contact, did you touch her at all ever? Handshake,
Other
hug.
other than in the bar, just like,
Okay.
like,
So you had a
yeah.
tiny little bit of quantum entanglement that when your particles separated, essentially, they went in their separate ways, they were then drawn, like you're connected forever. That's quantum entanglement, is that you are
Huh,
actually connected to anyone you touch forever.
man, that's
I
wild.
know. That's why I don't like to touch people, especially comics.
Yeah, you got to limit your exposure to some
You
of I
got
wouldn't
I
want
don't
to
I don't
with
want to
them.
be attached to people forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's true.
um certain people, of course, you know what I mean, not
Yeah.
everyone. But
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a feeling that like while you're still in that mindset of like, so you touched her, maybe a hug at the bar or hand on the
Yeah,
shoulder,
yeah,
whatever, like hug goodbye or something. Uh, your particles were still attached. So you're energetically still wherever you are in the universe. The idea then behind quantum entanglement is wherever you go, then in a single thought, you can connect to that entangled particle again, like those
no,
particles, because there's the experiments with the black holes and stuff that they do.
yeah,
Yeah. So basing that on how many particles we're made of, because you could do one particle can reach one particle at the other end. So one thought from your head can reach someone. Like, when you ever get to think about someone, then you get their text.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
It's one.
form of that. That's a form of that. Is
Oh,
because you're entangled with your phone. They say, especially iPhones, because they're made with quartz, which is a
yeah.
naturally occurring mineral. It's a crystal. It's carbon based. So then we've been entangled with people. I'm sorry, I have like a frog in my throat.
Hmm.
And we come back to each other because of those vibrations back like an electric station, like how electricity goes back and forth between our homes. It doesn't run inside the power lines. It goes like this over the
Yeah,
lines back and forth. So I think what we people do is the same thing. We kind of generate these attachments by just thinking about and texting and interacting with the person. You create these bonds and you don't
hmm,
realize you're doing it, energetic bonds. And so they're, the odds then, we think of it as numerical odds. People, we like to I like to boil it down that way too. But the
yeah.
quantum energetic level is like something in a universe where you were two were still entangled briefly in that idea that maybe you were going to hook up. You're like, you hadn't done it yet. You were still in that like energetic, nervous, like, ooh, I really maybe like this person, whatever phase. And so I think like sometimes your model, you can think so hard about something, you can cause an effect within your own life and like pull that person back into your field, even subconsciously.
Oh my God, that's pretty insane. So now that I'm thinking and talking about this, my odds of running into this girl in the next few weeks have just skyrocketed.
Or seeing her on like Facebook, even,
Yeah,
or you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or
that is so crazy
you
because
go
like I
do a
was waiting.
show, and she's like,
Yeah,
hey.
how funny would that be? And like at that point, like what was like 19 or 20, and now I'm like 31. So it's like, I wonder if it would
10
even be
years later or whatever.
recognizable.
Yeah.
I wonder if I would, with all of that, like everything that you said there, I imagine that you would still be able to pick that person out of a crowd, even if they've changed appearance
Yes.
wise because of that.
Unless their energetic signature changed. Like if they had a
Yeah.
major life event, you might not notice them at first. Our
Like
soul.
after that physical, she decided to choose a different career path.
Yeah, I mean that could be a butterfly effect in her life that you never realized. She could be living in Greece or something right now, getting hit with earthquakes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she could be related to one of those people on that Titanic submarine. Yeah, who knows?
But like, but then I get into like a lot of then I go back to the human physical aspect of it of like you weren't supposed to marry her. You weren't supposed to be in love with her. She wasn't supposed to marry you and be in love with you. She's probably
Yeah,
married to someone else.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like more than likely 10 years later, a
yeah, yeah,
successful doctor woman,
yeah,
and like I don't know. I like the romanticism of not having that person in your life, of where you just had that brief encounter and
yeah,
maybe in another life you were married. But this
yeah,
time when you came back here again, you were like, not this lifetime. I already did that. So then
yeah.
you meet, you have the connection, and then you're eternally connected to where it's so funny because now we're talking about it. You're probably right. And I have an accidental way of saying things and making them happen. So me saying it makes it worse that you might see this bitch.
Oh my
You just
God.
might be on a train.
That would, yeah, we're both just on to Patco going down to Center City
No.
somewhere. And
And you
oh
just
man.
look over and you're just like, did you see my balls one time?
Yeah. Like, hey, Vera nightclub, Cherry Hill, December of 2012. You remember? Yeah.
10 years later. No, that's so funny because I had a kidney transplant. I don't know if you know that. So I had to get a stent removed after the surgery, which is the thing that they put in between your bladder that they and the like where it connects to the kidney. They put
Mhm.
a little stent in there. So it's not a universe story, but it's funny because it's about a student. I did the okay, you can let the students come in,
Okay. Yeah.
and it was all female students and a male doctor. And so he was like telling her like, all right, so like 4 or 5 like hot young like 21-year-old whatever students, and I'm there, and the girl, she's like trying to go and get, they had to give her like a hook thing that like goes in the pee hole and pulls out the little stent or whatever. So
Oh,
it doesn't feel like anything. For men, it does. I heard for men, it hurts. For us,
yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
just feels like pressury for a second. And like, but that while she was trying to do it, I could feel it that the doctor had to go, wrong hole. And I'm laying there trying not to laugh on all kinds of weird medication and stuff.
Oh my God, that's
It
hilarious.
was
The amount
so
of time
funny.
having something like that where you're dealing with students, I bet that doctor just has so many jokes like already
Yeah.
planned that he said a million times. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh
no,
my
but
God.
back to your weirdness for a second. So I just derailed with a little like stupid related story. But I don't know. I'm thinking like it reminds me like so do you have any like your anybody you've met before that you've ever like romantically then like where you didn't meet, you didn't, it didn't work out or you didn't whatever. Did you ever have anybody else you have seen again?
Like
Like
somebody that was dating and then like saw a long time.
reconnected or yeah, like even if it was not dating, even if it was like we were gonna hook up or we hooked up one time or we made out at a party and then
You know, the first thing that comes to mind with that is my high school girlfriend. We dated my junior, senior year, and then my freshman year of college. So mostly in high school, 1 year when I was in school, and then gave up after trying to make that work. Um, so years later, after college, I
yeah.
think I was maybe a few years out at this point. I went back, I got called for jury duty. I was living in Philly, but I had my address as my parents in Burlington County. Like we're pretty much right across the river from where
Yeah.
you live.
Yep.
Um, I had to get called back for jury duty, went there and had to sit one row in front of that girlfriend that I used to date. Hadn't even talked to her or seen her since we broke up. And this was the first time. And we legally had to sit in jury duty together.
Oh wow. See, you have some kind of weird, I like your energy.
Yeah. And now that I'm putting it together with this, girl that I knew for less than a week, and then the ex-girlfriend there, I'm sure there was a girl I dated another time who ended up dating a guy I went to high school with. Like,
Yeah.
and I found that out by seeing them at an old high school thing. I was like, so there's like at least three things I can think of like that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So like the
Jeez.
universe is showing you, or your energetic field is showing you, like that person's still connected to you, still connected all that time later. I don't know. All right, I've had
Man.
a lot of fun talking about this. I like to talk about weird foods with people, but we do have to take a quick break if you want to come back with me for a few minutes.
Yes.
But all right, we'll be back here in a minute with more podcasts. We're back from the second break. You guys don't need to know that. It's back. We're back with Dan Callahan. So funny. We've had a good time here so far, being weird. I found
Yeah.
another article actually, real quick, that I forgot about that was related to our earlier conversations about the Titanic. And I just want to bring that in real quick because I was really enjoying the some of that. Uh,
Yeah. Let's do
this
it.
is a boat graveyard that
Oh,
is in Lake Mead, which is in Arizona, uh, that has surfaced as water. This is from 2022, but I don't know if it's still there or not. But do you see this? This is real. This is not an image. This is not AI.
yeah, I was gonna. That looks like it could be AI
It looks like
generated.
it could be no. It's a former sunken boat sits upright in the air with its stern stuck into the mud along the shoreline of Lake Mead. Lake Mead's like giant, like you say lake, but it's very fucking deep.
Yeah. So that thing
Um,
there for a while then if it's that stuck.
yeah. So this is like the part where you can still there's like water. I don't know that. So then this is where like they're saying a coyote was here walking where it used to be a lake. I don't know. I guess these are not that interesting of photos, but that one's kind of weird. Look at that one. So it's like
Yeah. Looks like it's in the middle of a field, like if there was once water
there
there.
was, and it grew around it. Like this person sank, this person capsized in their little
Yeah.
like rowboat with the little motor on the back. That's cool. That's a cool
Yeah.
picture. Like that gives you an idea of what it looks like. But that's crazy
Yeah, that is wild.
when you think
That
about just a lake, a boat would go down and be like upright like that, but
yeah.
the butt of it was sticking up.
Yeah.
This one's pretty crazy when you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. I mean, I wonder how old that one or how long that one's been sitting there. Does it
Yeah,
say
because
that?
like see the peak in the background. Let's see here. No, you can look at the age of the boat and kind of guess it can't be older than like the 70s. I feel like just
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
this design on it kind of is.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That one like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's been too
Like it's
decaying
not,
or anything.
yeah, but it's not super fancy, like newer either. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like a way more
Uh-huh.
modern out. But either way, it's like this is the mountain range in the background. I'm sure this is all filled in, and now it's like because of water levels.
Hmm.
I don't get what's going on in that one. Oh, fish. Oh, it's like little weird dead fish, like little.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And then
Oh,
just that look of the actual like
the
ground
ground, the
there.
clay that's like at the
Yeah.
bottom.
The clay that is cracked into things like that. Yeah. And I've
Yeah.
seen photos of like
Yes.
Lake out west that the water line, you can see where it was or where it should be. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. The water level fell. That's in the Colorado River, I guess, is where that
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
That's where a lot of, and now they say it's like droughts and everything, but I've read and seen that this is like an issue. Like, is that climate change directly that they're just droughts because like is
No.
water like just evaporating or disappearing?
Well, I guess the theory is if the core of the earth heats up at all more, which is they're saying fueling the hotter temperatures. I
Hmm.
don't think it's that. I think it's still like there's so much just like exhaust, the global greenhouse stuff, even though they claim the ozone hole healed itself.
Yeah.
I read, I don't know. This is said this thing has dropped 170 feet since 1983. Oh, yeah, that tracks with that boat. I said 70s, it's 80s.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and motorboats passing as high as a 15-story building. That's pretty
That,
crazy. Like, how tall is the Comcast building?
yeah, that one, that's probably, I don't know. Do you think that's close to 100? No, because World Trade Center was like 110. Comcast building is maybe, yeah, I'm interested to know how many
Ton.
stories that is.
I should have got my separate keyboard.
But yeah, just knowing like 170 feet isn't like it doesn't sound like a lot,
Okay,
but it
this is 973 feet, and that thing's pretty
yeah,
fucking big. So this is
yeah.
one a piece of that, a small piece, but that thing's still pretty
50,
big. I think I saw on that like the submarine, the submersible thing, they were saying the Statue of Liberty is 300 feet because they were turning it this way.
yeah.
And saying it's 300 feet down was like the Statue of Liberty inverted.
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha. Yeah,
half of that, so about half of the Statue of Liberty high.
yeah,
That's probably like
yeah,
my house or something.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
15
no, 15
building.
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, 15-story building. It said the Comcast one was 58 stories.
Oh,
Uh,
58. Yeah, so it's still about the same. Yeah.
15-story building is like,
2-story building is tall. That's
yeah, you
pretty
don't have too
tall.
many of those in the suburbs.
No, I was gonna say no, it's way taller than a house now. Now that I think
Yeah,
about it, I was thinking of 170 feet, but 15 stories is like, what's that, 15 floors? Is that how they count stories?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yep,
So
15 floors, yeah.
yeah, so like even a 5-floor building is pretty fucking tall, like an apartment building.
Yeah, yeah.
So to think the water went down like a huge thing of so because it's just the water cycle is just the water heats up, it goes up into the clouds, it comes back
Hmm.
down. But if it doesn't come back down because it's so hot everywhere and everything's so dehydrated, it doesn't
Yeah,
come back down. And it's
yeah.
not if it's a lake, it's not fed by a river, like you know what I mean, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah. There
um,
out there, I guess it gets interesting is you have the Hoover Dam there,
yeah.
and like just I don't know like how they, have to open up dams or other stuff or exactly how that works, but yeah, just the fact they're dropping that much because that's a lot of water and supplies a lot of people and not people but other things out that way too.
Yeah. So here's they're saying they got
It's
dead
revealing.
bodies. They found
Yeah,
dead bodies. 2 sets of
yeah,
human remains were found stuffed inside a barrel. Uh
man.
then this decades old boat emerged.
Yeah, see now that one is a old thing that definitely went down. And yeah,
Hmm.
now it's just like anybody nowadays, you better not hide a body in water. It's gonna get found.
Yeah, right. That's not a good tell the mafia. Somebody tell the mafia immediately. No more
Yeah,
barrels. Uh
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. Now
it's
the old classic cinder block or cement feet. That's not a good
no
idea
cement
anymore either.
shoes. Can't do cement
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah. Then
Not
watch
even
the.
in the ocean. Not even in the ocean now.
I wonder what's going to happen when the Delaware River water levels start reaching historic lows.
There's so many bodies in that fucking thing.
I hope one of them is Jimmy Hoffa. That's all
Just
I can
people
say.
jumping too. People jumping. I feel
Yeah,
like committing suicide off the bridges and stuff.
yeah, yeah. That happens all the time. Way
Mhm.
more than what people would think. Because
No,
you don't.
a guy that
Yeah,
lives right down the street, like the Burlington Bristol Bridge, or no, the
yeah.
Turnpike Bridge. There's a guy, I know
Mhm.
a guy that lives right at the bottom, and he's seen somebody fucking do it.
That bridge is high too.
Yeah.
That's a tall bridge.
Yeah.
Mm,
But people, yeah, because we have train tracks up here that you can walk right onto. People kill themselves on the train tracks.
man, both of
Um,
those. What brutal ways to
the
go.
train, as you're standing there, like you're like, whoo, whoo,
Yeah.
whoo,
Yeah.
I'm doing this. It's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beeping at you. You're like,
Yeah.
brrr.
God.
Like, oh my
Which is
God.
like, it's insane to think that those types of deaths are probably way more horrific than that submarine one with the Titanic, because they said that one just imploded before they don't
Yeah.
know what happened.
You
Like
just, you
people,
just,
yeah,
that's why I'm suspicious. But
yeah,
um,
yeah.
I want to see this wreckage. I was trying to look for the wreckage for us before I got on here, but I don't think they're releasing photos because I don't believe it yet.
No,
They could easily get pieces of metal from anywhere and have fucking thrown it down there.
that
There
is
could just
true.
be other wreckage down there. There could be other weird. I don't know. They're saying it's consistent with the hull of the thing. I'm
Yeah,
interested to start my conspiracy research on this thing.
yeah,
They're saying the British
yeah.
already had a documentary a couple days ago ready to put out.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty wild. They
yeah.
already just had it planned. Like
They
they're
just already
like
had
people
shit queued up.
like people that have what do you call, now I'm blanking on it. They have the, what do you call when you're right when someone dies, the obituary. People have obituaries already written for famous people like
Like
years in advance.
it's like
They do.
yeah, that's weird. Like
um Something like that, yeah. And then it's like, we're expected to trust the Canadian Coast Guard? I don't think so.
thought I saw the
They were the
U.S.
one.
was over there too, but
Yeah, was it the US that made the call
I
about
think it
Steve?
was. I think they
Okay.
saw something. We saw something. I don't trust us.
No, that might be actually worse. Maybe we would trust the Canadians
Yeah,
over
I
the
might.
US
They're
ones.
they're stand up guys usually
They're
now.
more honest people. Yeah.
They are. They're a more simple people. They don't. My letter of my last name doesn't exist there though, so
Oh yeah, yeah, that is true. Yep.
I
And
can't go.
I do like the conspiracy that Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son. If
Oh,
you
I
haven't
never
looked,
heard that one.
that's a good one.
All right, I'm
There's
starting that
articles.
tonight.
There are articles on that one that show the uncanny resemblance between them. Apparently, Trudeau's parents were swingers and they were around Cuba when he was conceived. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, that's a good one. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah. Look
I
that
am
one up.
definitely gonna look that up. See how much traction. While I'm creating ones about the Titan submersible on Reddit.
Yeah. There we
um,
go. Fire that one up.
Under my burner account. Anyway, so I'm getting hungry. We're gonna talk about food because I'm getting hungry and I like to talk about weird food
Yeah.
now. I always like people's like weird like late night snacks you might have that are just strange combinations or a weird sauce that you like to put on something that was unconventional. I have one. I don't know if I've said it actually yet, but my one that I used to give as my example was uh, peanut butter and frozen orange juice concentrate sandwich. And I saw it in a weird little kids magazine when I was a kid. My mom and I were like, all right, let's try this thing out. And
Oh,
people eat orange marmalade, which I could be explain. The only explanation is orange flavor. It's like a jelly, but it was good as a kid. I have not tried it as an adult.
huh.
My Patreon is going to be me trying all these things with people, their weird stuff someday. So maybe you can try mine because I brought it up on here for sure. But
Peanut butter with, you said, with frozen
frozen orange
orange.
juice concentrate like spread on there as if it's because they're kind of soft when you open them. If you let them sit for a minute or two, because you
Yeah.
squeeze it out. We used to always have that as a kid too, the like weird little
Yeah.
cardboard tube. And I like to eat it with a spoon sometimes because I like to eat Tang too. I like to just used to dip
Yeah.
the spoon in Tang and like eat that, like lick it and stick it in a little cup of Tang.
That's what I remember. You might know Andrew Boss, comedian.
Uh,
Mostly he's in Jersey a
I
lot.
don't know
He
if I
also,
know him,
he
but
knows he's at High Note a lot, and he was on our
okay.
podcast a few weeks ago and mentioned that he would put what was the, like, Nesquik. He would
Yeah.
scoop Nesquik but put it on bread and have sandwiches of
Oh,
the
I feel
Nesquik.
like I've heard of people doing that. I
Apparently, it's a thing, and I'm like,
I mean,
that's horrifying.
it sounds crunchy for some
It does.
reason to
I
me, or
can
like
see that if it's stuck together, though, I can see it actually being good, because I loved putting like chocolate milk and Nesquik in there, orange juice stuff. Like, I could definitely see that being a thing.
all right, you're
But
giving me an idea. Now I'm gonna try marshmallow fluff and chocolate Nesquik powder.
that has potential. That is potentially lucrative. Yeah, give
Yeah.
that one a
See,
whirl.
yeah, I have a lot of ideas. But so what do you got? What do you got?
For I'm not one that like explores crazy food that much, but
Sure.
what I do like doing is putting ketchup on everything. Have you had the ketchup flavored chips? There's been
I
a
almost bought
bunch
the
of
new ones. I almost bought the new ones the other day. Is
Doritos came out with a line of them.
what? I
Doritos has a tangy ketchup. Like if you ever been like at a wedding or a like fancy event where they have hors d'oeuvres and they're the cheesesteak egg rolls, and there's like
yes.
what's the type of ketchup that's a little spicy?
Oh, like what do they call it? I know what you're talking about.
It's I'm not too well versed in a lot of this stuff, but that type of
Yeah,
ketchup that has that
like a
little kick,
remoulade kind of like type thing.
possibly, or is it it's not a sriracha something
Well,
ketchup?
sriracha, there they have sriracha ketchups. I'm sure that people make. I've
Yeah,
seen
but
things like that.
it's like that type of ketchup though, but
Okay.
Doritos made it. It's a tangy, and it's at Wawa is where I got
Oh
them.
shit. All right.
That is really good. Hers has their own brand of them as well, but like it doesn't even do it justice. I just grew up dipping everything in ketchup. I
So
like
you dip
ketchup.
regular potato chips in ketchup?
Hell yeah. Any type of ketchup.
Weird.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Even pizza crust,
Oh,
all of it. Yeah. I'll dip all
I
that
feel
in
like I
ketchup.
knew someone that did that, but that's an that one
Yeah.
I forgot that existed. I think I blocked that out like a PTSD memory. It's like a molestation.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't happen. um
Some people have said that putting ketchup on hot dogs is a worse crime than molestation, but I do that all the time. Ketchup on hot dogs, I should say.
to be fair, we grew up doing mustard and ketchup sometimes. Like
See, I
that was
can't
our
mix them.
go-to. Okay.
I can't do it. I like mustard on ketchup is mustard on ketchup.
Mustard
Mustard
on
on
hot
hot dogs.
dogs. That's
I
like the
like that.
normal. That's the normal
Yeah.
answer. So the weird
Yeah.
one is just ketchup. Although I feel like if I was stuck with just ketchup, I would over a bear dog, I would probably do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I can put
But
that
you
on
prefer
anything.
it.
I prefer it. Even like nice steaks and stuff, not cheese
Oh,
steaks. I'll put
yeah.
it on.
Like you're talking
I
about a
just
ribeye, you're trash, you're garbage.
hell yeah. I that's my garbage trait is
That
everything
is
gets
for sure.
a little ketchup. Now I do, if it's blue cheese and wings, no ranch. I am not a ranch guy whatsoever.
I don't go for it as my first choice, but
No. But some people do get weirded out because a lot of these chip companies, they're trying to do something different to sell. Like you can only be a standard wavy Lay's chip.
plain chip.
No, yeah. So like they constantly have to do like I know that they've had like Philly cheesesteak flavored, dill
Yeah.
pickle flavored.
Yeah.
I'm the one that people are like, what is your problem when I have the ketchup flavored chips? So I'll dip ketchup in anything.
I, I actually remember when I'm so old. When I was in high school is when the first ketchup flavor came out, and they gave us free sample bags at school.
Really?
Yeah, and we were ever I liked them, and I never really bought them much because I'll just get like salt and vinegar because it gives me that same kind of vinegary
Yeah.
effect. But
Yeah.
I like different other. But I don't know if you saw it. Wawa, they have this one out. It's like sandwich flavors, and it's like made to put on your sandwich. So it's dill pickle, it's mustard, which I almost got,
Yeah.
uh, ketchup, and then like onion, I think,
Mhm.
and like I don't know. I haven't tried any of those yet.
I've seen the sandwich flavored ones. I haven't had
Yeah.
them
So
either.
you didn't get that ketchup. You got the normal, like one of the other regular, just hers or whatever ketchup ones.
Yeah,
But I'm
that one
interested
and
in the difference.
yeah, that's what I will say that the Doritos one is the tangy ketchup, so it tastes a lot different. The hers one is just a straight up, it tastes like plain chip and dipped in ketchup. Um,
Okay.
I like them both, but I kind of sided with the Doritos one a little bit more. I like that had a nice like kick to it, and I don't
Yeah.
like to have that usually. Um, I was one of those people you mentioned like chips with sandwiches. I was one of those people that would put chips inside of
In
my
it.
sandwiches. Yeah, I would do that. Do you ever order a McGangbang at McDonald's?
No, I've heard of people talking about it, but I'm not still not sure what it is. I never Urban Dictionary that one.
Basically, back when they had the dollar menu,
Yeah.
which they don't really have anymore, you could get a
Yeah.
McDonald's, a McChicken, and a small fry for $1 each. It was $3. And if you there was some McDonald's drive-through windows that you could order a McGangbang and they knew what to give you, and they gave you those three things.
Yeah.
I did that out near my school in central PA, and the person who was a blank pause on the other end of the intercom, and they were like, never come back here again. And they just shut it off. They wouldn't even let us order.
They thought you were like telling the workers to come outside and get in the truck.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, what is this guy thinking? I was like, I thought it was the secret menu.
The late night menu. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
I thought it was Ronald's little special. I
What are
thought
we
that's what.
doing here? Grimace is shaped like a butt plug. Let's go.
So I was always the one doing that. And then if you get it, you get to make it. You get to take apart the McDouble. You put the McChicken in there. It was a great, yeah. So I'm very trashy when it comes to that type of stuff. Ketchup,
Okay.
McDangs, I'm all over
I
it.
I had a friend when we were younger that always said if you want something fresh at a fast food restaurant, order any special order. So what he would do is we would go to Burger King and get like the long sub chicken sandwich, the longer one, and
Hmm.
the original one, and he would do the chicken sandwich, extra cheese, extra lettuce, extra mayo, add honey mustard.
Huh.
And it was so good. I don't know why. Just the stupid shredded lettuce with the cheese. I don't know. I don't know, but I haven't done that in a long time. But I like those weird secret menu
Yeah, I
things.
constantly look them up. The things that you didn't know that either you can combine or that isn't on the menu or that you don't even see because you're blind to it. Like I pull up and
The
like
same.
I get anxiety of like I don't want to mess up this,
Or
employee's day. Let me
there's
quickly
somebody
get.
waiting behind me and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. Just then you just
just
blindly
pick
order whatever.
whatever,
Yeah,
the same thing you always get, or some random fucking first thing you see.
that's why I stick to the things that I know and that I know that I've gotten because I can easily, ask for it. But like once they start changing up the menu and all that other, that's where I'm like, oh, now I'm lost. I'm holding people up. This is a problem. Yeah,
Um, yeah, I definitely get drive-through anxiety, I feel like, especially at Taco Bell, because I'm like, they always add new
yeah.
things in there.
They changed theirs up a lot. I used to get a certain thing and now it's not even really on there. I don't even.
Yeah. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. What the heck was I gonna say? I was thinking of something, but that you reminded me of. I don't can't think of it now. Getting too hungry thinking about weird combinations, about to go to Wawa.
same thing.
um,
When I was a kid, I remember I would go up to the touch screen when they first got them into
yeah,
Wawa
yeah,
and I would just order random shit that I liked that I would put it on the same thing. Like I loved like meatball sandwiches, but I also
yeah.
liked blue cheese. So I
Okay.
would ask for that on the thing, and they would be like, "Do you want like what are you or why are you ordering blue cheese with meatballs?" Like, so like I would constantly do that, and I
You're the
was like,
reason they had to put like a special request button in.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." And my dad just taking me outside and smacking me over the trash can. Yeah, just
Meatball with blue cheese. I've never had that. Is that a real thing you've had? You used to order that?
no. Oh my
Oh,
God.
okay.
I don't think I ever had that. I'm now
Okay.
that I hear myself say it though, I'm like that actually I could probably do it. I probably could. And get some ketchup right on top and I'd be golden.
That's what we were talking about, was the ketchup. I actually have a friend whose husband hates ketchup. He like gags at the sight of it.
Really? Is it
Yeah.
like a phobia of ketchup? That's
I
pretty
think it
wild.
is. Yeah. Like I've never seen anybody be so disgusted by ketchup in my life, because I like ketchup on eggs. And that's like, I found out like not everyone does that. That's either
I
garbage or a Philly area thing.
Yeah, I don't even do that.
See?
But there
Okay.
are now if it's on a like a pork roll, egg and cheese or something,
Yeah.
I'll do it. But if it's just eggs, I won't.
No, I still like a little
Yeah.
on the side sometimes, just sometimes a little bit to dip it, or like
Yeah.
depending on how I make them.
Yeah.
Trying to think of anything else. I might put ketchup on. That's weird. I think just
Yeah.
the eggs thing. Like I've had people look at me sideways, and like I go places in other states, and like they don't have ketchup out, and it's like a breakfast place, and they look. You ask like, "Can I have ketchup?" And they're like, "What?"
I guess I'm just so used to that because like I'm like I don't even think that that's like really out like
It's
it's
not
normal.
everywhere. It's not everywhere.
But if you go outside of there, it's like
Outside like the
talking about
Delaware Valley, yeah.
if you talk about mischief night outside of this area and people are like, what are you talking about? Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that was such a concentrated thing in this area.
Yeah,
Um, it's like here in Detroit, and that's like it, I think.
yeah,
So man, it's weird how that stuff changes like that. But yeah, ketchup
yeah.
on anything is fully fine with me.
What? Yeah. So you're probably a ketchup on mac and cheese guy, which I hate. You're that
Oh yeah,
guy.
absolutely.
What's
Yep.
another one? Like
You know what is strange? I mentioned the pizza as well. I will like if I have like cold leftover pizza and there's ketchup, not regular pizza. It has to be cold
cold
leftover pizza.
leftover.
I could eat cold pizza for
Oh,
like that's one.
I actually like cold pizza a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I could never get sick of that. So if I had that, I'll dip it in ketchup. But like even when I get down to the crust, I'll dip the crust in ketchup, which to me,
Yeah.
thinking about it, it's disgusting. Is like I would never dip bread
Disgusting. You
in
would not
ketchup.
dip toast in ketchup, or like an
Yeah, yeah.
Italian bread at like a restaurant.
I would never, but because it's I was like, what is, I
Let's
never under,
unpack that. Let's unpack that. What do you think? Why is it like something you did as a kid and you just always done it and it just still tastes good to you as an adult? Your palate is the same.
I guess I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes. I don't go exquisite. I remember my wife on our anniversary dinner this past year. We went to a nice place over here, and I wanted to get a burger. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" She's like, "Get like steak or something." I was like, "I know what I like a burger," and she's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm getting that at a fancy place. Like, what's wrong with you?"
I mean, it's
Um,
on the menu, but no, I get that because my guy's like
yeah,
that. That's like his go-to. It's like a burger.
yeah, yeah.
Like he would probably
So
get a steak. He would probably get a steak or something. But like,
yeah.
still, sometimes it's just like in the mood for a burger. I get it. It's like a very basic man food.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just me trying to just the years of covering up. Like my mom would convince us as kids that what she was making was like her own like handmade recipe, but it like later we found out they were just like essentially frozen meals.
Oh
Like
my god!
I don't
Come,
know. There are so many things like she's just like, yeah, my the chicken cordon bleu that I made, and it's like it
and
was
it's
this.
like Tyson or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. But like I remember growing up, I was like, it's always the same exact, like every time. I was like, it's consistently, and I grew up liking simple shit
yo,
like
so you got addicted to the consistency and the because that's
yeah,
what chain restaurants offer their customers. And I always roast my guy. I'll be like, you up, that's a chain. And
yeah,
like what do you
yeah,
have against it? And they give that where you it's harder for family owned restaurants to survive because they can't give you that. They can give you
like,
90% of the time it's going to taste the same. But if one chef is off that day or cook is off that day and the
yeah,
guy's got to fill in, it might be a little different on that
yeah,
Thursday. And then there will be people who legitimately are so like obsessed with that brand loyalty taste and like the little difference will set them off so much. They're like, the food's terrible. I'm never going back there. It's like, you
yeah,
can't even cook. What are you
yeah.
doing?
I guess it is that I just like that
The
consistency, but then I have
same.
ketchup in there. Yeah, and then people hate that like whenever I use ketchup because they're like, "Oh, you're trying to mask like something that
Whatever,
doesn't
something you
taste
don't
good."
like or something.
I was like, "No, I can
No, I
love the
just
food.
love it.
I just love that in top."
I
So
just love
I feel like
ketchup.
that consistency, I can ride at a wave right here. But then when there is something really good, I really do like that. But it's like a little like blip. Then I'll be like up here, but then I'll go right back down to my consistent level, like right here.
Okay. Okay. You hover in the range of ketchup.
Yeah, that's right. Anything that the ketchup can kind of,
Go
yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you ever get deja vu, Dan?
Every now and then I do, but I can't say that I have been able to like. It's just been very random things. Hasn't happened in a while, but it does happen.
It's
Yeah,
always random. And I always my one friend that from a long time ago, and we're still friends, but she lives far away, so I don't say that much. She always said it's another one of those like Easter eggs, but it's like a sign you're on your destined path. Because we have our destined path and we have our fated path. The fate are the things that happen to you that you can't control that you're left to deal with. Destiny is what you choose to come here and do. And I actually had it twice when we took the break just now.
yeah.
And then again, when you were talking about the ketchup just the way you talked about it and the way you said it, I had this weird, like, just that weird, I don't know, like I don't know, and that's my like what that's my weirdness coming out. I love that, like that's what I tell people, bring deja vu stories, bring stuff like that, because I don't know. There's no way we recorded this podcast before. There's no way I had a dream about recording this podcast. So what is that mental blip that you just
Exactly.
literally said that's like
Uh-huh.
makes you feel like you're back in your energetic alignment with your
Yeah.
food or with your podcast or whatever you're doing? It puts you back in your perfect frequency.
Yeah, that it's so
And
because anytime a deja vu moment happens to me, I actually like get excited. I was like, "Oh, that
yeah,
was pretty good,
yeah,
cool." I know it's never happened, just like what you said. It's
yeah,
never happened before. I haven't done that
I
in the
haven't done it.
past, but
You and I
now it,
have barely spoken, and now a conversation suddenly made me feel like it's happened before.
yeah, exactly.
Like, have I done catch up with someone on here on this podcast, like this in depth?
I've never really talked to anybody about my ketchup session unless someone tries roasting me at a Phillies game on Dollar Dog Night because
Like
I'm
when
putting
you're there,
ketchup
just
on
loading
hot
up
dogs.
ketchup and no mustard and no.
I snuck my own bottle into the stadium. That's usually I should start doing that. I want
It's
to,
so funny. You can take your own food in, right?
yeah, if it's a closed seal bottle, I'm just gonna
Mm.
bring it out and just start doing it. Yeah.
You just pull out the party pack out of your jacket. And
Yeah.
like,
I
like,
just open it up like
we're
a
here,
trench coat
guys.
guy selling watches in a park, but I have different flavors of ketchup.
One of those like backpacks, like the hose comes out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they
I'm
just
just
put it
sucking. it's a siphon to a big ketchup tube that I have in my thing, and I just gotta suck it and then pour it on everything. Yeah, I
And
am also for that.
what other ballpark foods would you put it on? Would you put it on popcorn?
Um, certain type of popcorn. Normal popcorn, no, because then it would just taste like you're eating like ketchup flavored styrofoam if it's like
True.
bland popcorn. Um, I've had a habit of eating like that smart popcorn, like the really
Yeah,
bland.
yeah.
But interestingly enough, just a few weeks ago, I accidentally did this and then ate it, and I was like, "Oh, that's not actually bad." Kernel corn popcorn. What do you call it?
Oh,
Not kettle
the
cooked.
kettle corn, kettle cooked.
Kettle
Yeah.
corn. Yes,
Hmm.
one of those fell into some ketchup on a plate. I was taking out of the thing. And I'm like, this will be. I didn't do it on purpose, but I
But
was
you
like,
were like, I'm gonna eat this. It's going in my
yeah,
mouth. I'm
yeah,
gonna.
it'll work.
What are the
It'll work.
odds? What are the odds that I thought of that?
Yeah. So that worked out for me. Have you seen, it's not ketchup related, but have you seen the video of the guy at the Yankees game using a hot dog as a straw?
Oh, I have. I have. Yes.
Now that I love a good hot dog and beer and everything, but
It was a
making,
beer. I imagined a Sprite. I would do it with a Sprite.
I would try it. I'm down to
I would
try it.
try it with a Sprite. I would. I feel like it would be salty and sweet, and I love salty and sweet together.
Yeah. 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 That's why I love I love salt and sweet stuff too.
It would be
And
so hard for me to not bite it though.
yeah, that's initially what I
Like,
would want to do. I just love that that guy did it because he was like an older, not older, but like in his 50s. Like he wasn't doing it for Instagram. Like he was just doing it and someone
just an
captured him doing
idiot.
it. Like
Because he had to sit there, right, and take the straw, a real straw, and push it down
get
through
it
the dog
through there. And then he has to sit there with
and
people
pull
all around
that back
him.
out. Did
Yeah,
he suck the little middle of the straw out, do you think?
I think he did. Yeah, he probably did. He
He was
hollowed
like,
it out right
waste
there.
not, want not.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
Oh,
perfect. I can respect somebody doing that in public. So
hell yeah. I'm gonna go to a ball game now. I'm gonna get some $20 seats and go down and fucking get a
easy
hot
as hell to
dog,
do.
put it fire it into a Sprite and go viral.
I'm doing that. Next time I'm there, I will
Let's
do it.
go. Let's go. All right, Dan, this has been super fun. Where can my people find you? This will be out in about a month or so.
Oh yeah, I'll be all over the internet,
Okay.
YouTube, the Instagram, the face space in my book, Dan
Okay.
Callahan, D_Callahan. That's where I'm at everywhere. Yep.
All right. I will put it in the description. You got anything else? You
No, I mean summer. No, I've got all types of shit. You find me probably find me out in the water somewhere, a beet
okay.
red from sunburn.
All right. No, I mean anything else you want to talk about before I hang up on you?
Oh, we've covered so much on
We've
here.
done
This
a
has
lot.
been
We've
great.
done a
Thank
lot.
you for having me on talking about
Thank
everything
you.
from conspiracies to ketchup. I loved it.
Thank you for going longer than originally intended. My fans
Oh yeah.
appreciate it. And I will see you around soon.
I'll see you around. All right,
Thank you,
thanks.
man.